Welcome to Joke, Story, Trick Live with Michael Kent. I'm him. Let's go. Welcome, everybody. What is up? I hope you had a good week. My name's Michael Kent. Thanks for joining me. It's Joke, Story, Trick Live again tonight. Oh my gosh, we've got Togna Steinbach on the show. Some of you might know him as Tony, formerly Tony. Now he's Togna, and we're going to learn all about that along with the other fun stuff. I've got a story about DoorDash tonight that you're going to learn about. Not many people have seen this, and if you have seen it, it's been several years since you saw it. It's a great story. We've got jokes, we've got more. Tell me where you're watching from. Let me see in the chat. Just say hello, say where you're watching from. I would love to see where everyone is coming from. I have been playing around with the show a little bit. We're going to move this back over here. All right, we got someone on Twitch. It's great to see people watching on Twitch because there aren't many people there yet. So that's awesome. Thanks, Magi Dad. I appreciate having you there. Now, Magi Dad is kind of a cool name. Thanks for joining us. We've got Christopher Morrow, who is a Patreon subscriber. Ryan Kane's in Sausalito, California. Good to see you, Ryan. I still haven't watched or read all of your book. I've been slacking. I should be able to read that book in a couple days. It is triple spaced with a Type 18 font. And hey, Mark DiTullio is a show regular. He's here. Mark, did you get a joke in this week? I don't know. I'll have to look. And then Christopher Morrow's watching from Los Angeles. It's great to see everybody. Thanks for joining me on another show. Oh my gosh, I just released today a list of future booked guests on this show. All the way through. This show is booked now through September. And I have famous actors that you've heard. Hey, Chuck Johnson. I've got a former Navy SEAL coming on the show. Next week, I've got a sitting U.S. Congressman coming on the show. And we've got actors, variety artists, speakers, comedians, magicians, all kinds of stuff. Like I said, this show is booked through September, and that means that eventually I'm going to have to start paying some of these folks. So I put my Patreon in the chat, and that way everyone can help support me, and that will keep this hunk of shit rolling. And hopefully some folks will tune in the coming weeks. We're going to have some really freaking good guests, and I don't want anyone to miss it. Let's look at some news, you guys. I'm going to pull up some news here. Oh, this is crazy. So if I live in Columbus, Ohio, some people know that I live in a town named after an asshole. But you know, a lot of people don't realize, because when I was in school, I was taught that Christopher Columbus in 1492 sailed the ocean blue and discovered America and all that happy horse shit. But a lot of us are learning now for the first time that's not what happened. This guy, he discovered like Puerto Rico by mistake, and he wasn't really the founder of America at all. But we have a lot of stuff named after the guy. And he used to do horrible stuff like cut off the hand of Native Americans. And of course, we know he was a slave owner, but it was much worse than that. So our mayor has said that he is going to tear down the Christopher Columbus statue that now stands in front of our city hall. So Mayor Ginther says it's time for that to come down. They already tore down the Columbus statue that's at Columbus State University. I didn't even know that was there. Neither did any of the people who are like bitching about it on Facebook and stuff. But I'm sure you have heard a petition has been started. Thousands have signed a petition to rename Columbus, Ohio to Flavortown after native son Guy Fieri. So that's a thing that's happening. He's from here. Guy Fieri is from here. And I just want you to note, look at here's your comparison. One of these guys is a horrible person who should not be celebrated. The other one is Christopher Columbus. No, of course they're both. Well, it's not that I have anything bad against Guy Fieri, but listen, nothing says we are taking racial issues seriously like a buttery white guy in a bowling shirt. This isn't the right way to do it. I think most of the people who are doing this, it's just a joke. I think for the most part. But I think it's okay to acknowledge that Christopher Columbus isn't necessarily history. It's not the history that we were taught it is. It's sort of fake history. And it's okay if we replace historical things that are horrible with historical things that are great to be celebrated. I think that's okay. Bud Light thinks it's okay too, because they said that if this happens, if Flavortown happens, Bud Light Seltzer for all of Flavortown. And as a new Flavortonian, I think I have a new drink. Let's move on. Here's a crazy headline. Man smuggling cocaine in artificial penis was caught at the Brussels airport. This is nuts. At the hospital, doctors and police officers established the man had been equipped with an artificial penis in which 127 grams of white powder, later identified as cocaine, was hidden. That is nuts. Nuts. Upon questioning, the man responded he was on his way to party with some friends. When TSA opened his bags, they found his friends. That's ridiculous. Everyone's heard this news. K-pop stans teens on TikTok may have inflated its expected turnout to President Trump's Tulsa rally. So a TikTok thing happened. These K-pop stans came from, all over they go on the website that Brad Parscale set up to it was free. And they didn't limit the number of tickets. So they got something like 1 million kids with phones signing up for this Trump rally just as a joke, which is amazing. So the Joe Biden campaign, eager to send thank you cards, has started an exhaustive search for this Stan fellow. This is really impressive. But honestly, and I at the risk of I know that this makes me sound like a geezer, but how can we make TikTok get really excited about voting? How can we make voting cool on TikTok? Can we do that? Because I'm just going to throw this out, a number for you. 31% of the voting electorate, 31% of all the people eligible to vote are between the ages of 18 and 25. That's 31%, right? That percentage votes at a 46% rate. Less than half of those people vote, 46%. Now, let's compare that to what they call the silent generation. That's 75 plus, right? The silent generation only makes up 17% of the electorate. Only 17%. They vote more than 70% of the time. I was talking with my friend Josh about this, and he said that's because they understand how important voting is. I know that there are a lot of efforts happening right now to get young people to vote. I hope they work. I see young people in the streets right now. I hope those same people vote because look what they did with one little rally. Now, it's also important to note there are a lot of conservatives angry today because they think that this is some sort of interference in the election or something like that. But there was no limit. There was no cap on how many people could register. And still only 6,900 people went to the rally. So they could have filled that thing with the 19,000 people that it could have held. These million people didn't keep those people from getting registrations. So I just think it's hilarious. Good job to the young generation. And we're going to move on to a beautiful, beautiful picture. Check this picture out. Look at this. Let me see if I can find it here. Look at that. There's a rainbow. This is a park in Florence, Oregon. It's a seaside park. There's a little beach there. And the city of Florence owns this, and they wanted to turn it into a parkland. They wanted to name it after a park or name the park. So they had a competition in Florence for people to send in names of what they wanted to name this park. The winner of that competition, the winner has to do with what happened at this park 50 years ago. 50 years ago, a whale washed up at that park, and it had been so long in Florence since there had been a whale that washed up, they didn't know what to do with the whale. They didn't know, and no one was willing to cut it into pieces to haul it off. So they did what any red-blooded American would do. They decided to rig the thing with dynamite and blow the effer up. They blew up a whale with dynamite. That's blubber falling to the ground. Here's slow motion. They blew a whale up 50 years ago with dynamite and then hauled away the chunks. There was one particular chunk right there that you can see that didn't blow up, and they had to figure out how to haul that away. So, and this is real. I am not lying. This is what they called the park. They voted. They called the park the Exploding Whale Memorial Park of Florence, Oregon. And this is real. This is an actual thing that happened. The Exploding Whale Memorial Park. Crazy. Let's see. Another name they considered along the same lines for the park was the Year 2020 Park. And that, my friends, has been your news. Let's go to some jokes. I hope everyone enjoyed that. Let's go to the chat. Magi Dad is yes, Christopher, they blew up a whale. Hey, Carrie Cook, what's up? Yeah, they blew a whale up with dynamite. They rigged it. Magi Dad just has emojis, which is great. That's what's great about Twitch. We should have some more people watching on Twitch. My Twitch is just Michael Kent Live. So you go to twitch.tv/Michael Kent Live. I really appreciate everyone coming on here and saying hello, and thanks for coming on and chatting. You guys have been so loyal during these first few weeks of having this show. And speaking of loyalty, we have some awesome loyal people on Patreon already. If you want to join my Patreon, it's patreon.com/Michael Kent. There's a link in the chat, and you can join for as little as $1 a month. What you get for that, at the $5 level, you get stuff. I'm going to mail you stuff. At the $10 level, you get mailed even more stuff. At the $1 level, you get virtual stuff. And our Patreon subscribers that are watching can attest. What I do is I post stuff like videos, things like scoops. I just posted the entire schedule of upcoming joke story tricks and all of the guests that we're going to have to Patreon a day early. And thank you so much for the follows and the subscriptions. There's some follows. There's a $5 pledge. Thank you so much. A $1 pledge. And JPC guy, Tay Hurt, and Magi Dad all followed. So thank you so much. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe, click the little bell, and appreciate all that. Just some housekeeping stuff. We got to keep this show going because this is fun for me. It's a hobby. It's something that I really have enjoyed doing so far. And let's move on. Let's move on to some jokes. This is Joke Story Trick. I feel like we should do the Joke Story Trick intro again. It's been a while since I did that. So here we go. Okay. All right. Now I feel better. Two men are walking their dogs. There's the two dogs there. There's a Doberman and a Chihuahua, right? And they see a restaurant and they're really hungry. They decide to go for a bite to eat. But unfortunately, they see a sign that says no dogs allowed. What do? The one man, he has an idea. It's not the best idea. It's a little bit nefarious, but he puts on a pair of sunglasses. I got my blue blockers here to just kind of demonstrate. He puts on a pair of sunglasses. He says, I know what to do. Just follow my lead. The waiter says, I'm sorry, sir. We don't allow dogs here. And the man says, oh, you don't understand. I'm blind, and this is my guide dog. The waiter says, a Doberman for a guide dog? And the man says, yeah, Dobermans are very loyal. They're easy to train. They're very protective. This is my guide dog. They're born for the job. So the waiter, he reluctantly lets the guy in. He says, fine, it's a guide dog. I can't do anything about that. That's great. So the second man, excited by this idea, he throws on his sunglasses and he walks in. The waiter says, I'm sorry, sir, we don't allow dogs here. The man says, oh, you don't understand. I'm blind and this is my guide dog. The waiter says, a Chihuahua for a guide dog? The man says, a Chihuahua? They gave me a Chihuahua? All right. Our first guest joke is from Joe Cavallero. Joe says, this is a classic one and one of my favorites. Hope it's not too long. A piece of string walks into a bar and walks up to the counter. The bartender says, I'm sorry, mate. We don't serve pieces of string here. Get lost. Upset, the piece of string walks out the door. A sudden thought strikes him. He ties himself into a knot and messes his hair up. He walks back into the bar and approaches the counter. The bartender says, Oi, aren't you that string from before? No, says the piece of knot. I'm afraid not. That's okay. We'll give that a... I think I messed up one of the words on there, but we'll give it a... No, we should give it a thumbs up. I'm sorry. That's a thumbs up. That's good. Thank you, Joe, for sending that in. Oh, Mark Tutulio, we did get a joke from you this week. Mark says, I've never told anyone this, but my wife suffers from magic addiction. To be clear, I'm the one addicted to performing magic all the time, and she's the one who suffers. Okay, that's... it's not a good joke, Mark, but I'm giving it a thumbs up because I can understand and sympathize. This one, oh, I love this. This is good. I'm gonna save that one for last. I'm gonna come back to that one because that's my favorite one. David Rangel, I don't know if is it Rangel? Yeah. Why didn't the hippie lifeguard save the man drowning in the ocean? He was too far out, man. Yes. I like that one. In fact, I did a competition the other day on my Facebook, and he won with that one. He won a pack of these balloons. He won a 5-pack of I'm sorry I called you a dick balloons. So, and if you want to, I'm sorry I called you a dick balloon, you can buy them on my website. Yes, here's one from Krista Smolligan. Sherlock Holmes and C.D. Watson are out camping one night. When Sherlock Holmes wakes up his companion, Watson, look up and tell me what you see. Watson looks up. I see the vastness of the universe and how our lives are just a tiny part of a complex and evolving process. Sherlock looks at him and says, no, you idiot, someone's gone and stolen our tent. It's all right. Tom Manspeaker says, what do pirates love most about birthday parties? The balloons are... Yes. That's a thumbs up. Okay. That's a good one. Let's give that one.
It was pretty goddamn hilarious.
All right. Sean Mullins says, so a man walks into a bar, sits down, he starts a conversation with an old guy next to him. The old guy has obviously had a few and says to the man, you see that dock out there? I built it myself, handcrafted each piece, and it's the best dock in town. But do they call me McGregor the dock builder? No. And you see that bridge over there? I built that. Took me 2 months through rain, sleet, and scorching weather. But do they call me McGregor the bridge builder? No. And you see that church over there? I built the most beautiful church in the region. But do they call me McGregor the church builder? No. The old guy looks around. He makes sure no one's listening. He leans to the man. He says, but you fuck one sheep. I like that joke. But the best one of the week comes from Allison Landis, longtime supporter of my show and my tours. Allison says, where does a mansplainer go to get his water? Well, actually. That has been jokes, my friends, and those have all been jokes. It's time for some stories. All right, here's my story. This is something that's it's a good story. This happened I think 2018, so a couple years old. And what happened was my wife and I, we order like DoorDash and Grubhub every once in a while, and this was one of the first times we had done that. We have a very small dog. This is Rhubarb. Rhubarb is a Yorkie, a Yorkshire Terrier, and Rhubarb is 13 years old. Very old, very, I don't know. You know how old dogs are. A little bit angry sometimes. And she only has like 9 teeth. She's just an old, but we love her. She's a cuddle bug. And she stands up for herself, which is great. Anyway, that's Ruby. We ordered DoorDash. And I'm going to turn, I've got audio coming in here weird. We ordered DoorDash, and on DoorDash, the driver came. Ruby somehow slipped out under the legs of my wife. And when Ruby slipped out under the legs of my wife, the guy freaked out. And there's no way I can describe this. Luckily, we do have it on video. The guy freaked out and he ran with his arms above his head, yelling the word attack, attack. Here, my friends, here is the video. You can hear my wife yelling at the dogs to stay in, and here goes little Ruby. He drops the food.
Oh, I live in here. I live in here. No. Ah! No, what's wrong?
He yells, he says, I'll leave it here, and then he runs and says, attack!
There you go. Oh, I live in here. I live in here. No. Ah! No, what's wrong?
The dog's not even interested in following him. One more time. It's just too good. It is just too good.
There you go. Oh, I live in here. I live in here. No. Ah! No, what's wrong?
Very stressful.
Now, I don't have it. You can't see it on this video. And my wife, you can hear her yell, "What's wrong?" because she's very surprised at the guy's reaction. But then it cuts off the longer video that I have somewhere. She says, "What are you doing?" to the guy, because she didn't know like what was going on. The guy was acting as if like he was being stung by bees or something. So I understand some people are afraid of dogs or whatever. But I thought that was pretty good. It's almost time for our guest, you guys. My guest I am so excited to bring on. So my guest tonight is Togna Steinbach. We now know him as Togna. We used to know him as Tony until one day he said, "What if my name was Togna like Bologna?" And it was a very, very successful Facebook post. It went very well. Here is some clips of Togna Steinbach performing. He's a juggler, a variety artist, a comedian, and newly crowned co-host of the Quiz Box game show here in Columbus, Ohio. I'm going to welcome him now. Everyone, let me unmute my mic for Togna. What's going on, brother?
Hey, Michael, what's up?
I'm having a great time, man. I'm so happy that you could come on the show. You've got a buddy behind you.
Oh, yeah, this is Quincy.
Quincy's making bread back there.
Yeah, he is. He's kneading down into his little blanket thing. That's my friend Brian's cat, but I'm watching him for a while.
Okay, now are you still in Denver, or are you back in Columbus, or?
No, I'm back in Columbus now. I was out in Denver for like 6 months.
6 months.
I've been back here for like, I don't know, maybe 2 months. I was there when the pandemic started, and then did a straight shot drive back in order to avoid staying anywhere to get back to my house.
Well, speaking of the pandemic, you got COVID?
Yeah, I did. At least I think I did. When I had it, there was not really testing available. So I was out in Denver, and it was probably the sickest I have ever been. And I had just gotten back from like, this was right before we started realizing it was going to be a big deal. So I had just been performing. I think I performed in like 8 different states the 2 weekends before. And it was like right when it felt like every single time I would get back to Denver, they would be like, and New Jersey has its first confirmed case of COVID.
Yeah.
They'd be like, Missouri has its first confirmed case. And so it was just like following me around, and then I got pregnant. So.
Well, I was watching the whole thing on your Facebook, and you looked like shit. I mean, it looked it looked like it got you good. I was in Denver at the end of February, right before that. And Denver had some of the first cases. I remember like some of the first confirmed cases. And I think you were the first person I knew who, like, I was like, this guy has it. And it's like, it hits you hard. Cause like so many people our age, I'm making myself younger by saying our age, cause I think you're younger than I am. But so many people like, 20s, 30s, 40s don't get it that bad. They get it and then they sort of, recover. And I actually got tested for the antibodies this morning. So I'll know in a day or two whether I have had it, because I've been sick since then, but nothing like that, nothing like what you went through. So we're glad you recovered, and, glad to have you on the show, man. Now tell us about the Quiz Box. How'd that whole thing come about?
Well, yeah, they just brought me on to be one of the kind of behind the scenes members. I might be might be doing a little hosting when our host Kevin isn't available. I'll still be on the panel every once in a while, but that is by far my favorite show. I mean, you've been friends with me on Facebook. You see all the promo I make for that show.
Yeah, I did it once. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's great. It's based on a whole series of British panel shows, which have been like my favorite kind of like entertainment for pretty much my entire life. So I was really excited.
And our mutual friend Eric Tate was a host and just stepped down to have time to do some other stuff. And they brought in Kevin to sort of fill that spot, and I was happy to see you involved with it as well. I have to get to another show. The reason I asked if you were still in Denver is because like they've been doing that show virtually, and that show really could be done from anywhere now. I'm hoping that it's going to be done live again now, but
yeah, I think we're waiting to find out what Shadowbox is going to be doing before we bring it back to like live in-person shows. But for now, I want to keep doing the virtual thing just sometimes anyway, because it really opens up just who you're able to book. I mean, doing this, have panelists on from California, and that was never possible before.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. And this show, this Joke Story Trick Show will always be a virtual show. I mean, this isn't ever going to be live. Unless, if there's ever a following big enough to do a live show one day, then I could do that. But this show is just meant to be a show where I do exactly that. I find guests from all over. I've had guests from Canada, and I've had guests on the West Coast. Next week, we're having a guest he's from Wisconsin, but he'll be in DC when he does the show. So yeah, it's an awesome convenience. I love doing it. I love doing the virtual shows. Have you been doing virtual juggling shows?
Yeah, so pretty much all of my work this past month or so has been virtual. I think I did over the past couple weeks. I've done about 10 virtual shows so
great.
far. I would say I was able to convince about 50% of like the in-person bookings that I had to go ahead and just do
to convert over. Man, that's hard. I lost all my bookings. None of them converted to virtual. I did a ton of virtual shows since March, but all of them have been new people. And actually, I don't know. And it's been interesting because one of the first colleges that I did during the pandemic virtually just hired me to do a second show, and they hired me to do a virtual show, and two others who had hired me to do virtual shows have already booked me to do in-person shows at those places. Yeah, it's great. I would have never had a chance to meet these people or perform for these people otherwise. So that's awesome that you were able to get people to convert over. That's a really hard sell, because you're saying, they've got an idea in their mind of what that event is going to be. And I think that a lot of times I was the only one saying, let's do this virtually. Whereas they were thinking, let's cancel it. Let's postpone it until this is all over. And nobody really knows how to use the technology to make this work. So it is a big ask to say like, hey, what if we did this completely different idea?
Sure. We're going to have to exchange advice at some point, because I have gotten no new clients for virtual shows. Just retention clients. So we'll trade tips at some point.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get some of your people to convert.
I did some marketing, but most of it was most of it's coming in through Google. Honestly, there are a lot of people coming in through Google. So it's great. It's great, but it's also a thing where people don't know exactly what a virtual show costs, because it doesn't exist. Like, that has never existed before. So I have people that come in and they hear my price and they're like, yeah, we thought it was going to be $100. Like, they don't understand that this is like what people do for a living. And the sad part is then they go and they find someone to do it for $100. So that's this business. I can't complain about that. That's just the way things are in a normal world too. So I brought you on the show today to tell us a story, and you said you have an awesome story. So what I'm going to do now, Mr. Steinbach, is just full screen you and take it away, my friend.
All right. Yeah, so this is a story from when I was a teenager, actually. This was something my friend Adam and I would just kind of tell to the point where we got it basically at a recital level over and over again. We called it the flagpole story. And yeah, it's just kind of a story about teenage hoodlumism, I guess. I grew up in Beaver Creek, Ohio, which is just outside of Dayton, Ohio, and it's a pretty well-off suburb kind of area. My friend Adam would come spend the night. I have pretty liberal parents, and they would always let us kind of wander around at night. We just go wander through Beaver Creek at night. And one day, Adam came over. We had a friend named Steven who had just moved over to Germany. He lived right down the street from me. So he lived kind of like, you go over to the left and then down a little bit, there's Steven's house, right? Just like a block and a half from my place. And so Steven moved to Germany. These people moved in, and Adam and I never saw them. Knew they were there. We'd see like lights behind curtains, but it was just like a closed off house. They were never outside. You never saw cars coming and going. We saw like the daughter one time, and she was like standing outside. It looked like she was looking at a map, and she was wearing like this big black tutu. We were like, this is crazy. Like, who are these people? And so we were talking about it one night, and it was probably around like 11:30, 12. And Adam looks at me and he goes, dude, you know what we should do? We should ding dong ditch him. And I was like, nah, I don't want to mess. I was a good kind of goody two shoes growing up, so I didn't want to rock the boat too much. I didn't want to like annoy these people that just moved in. And he was like, no, dude, this is gonna be awesome. We're gonna ding dong ditch him. And I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. And he's like, here's what's gonna happen. We're gonna sneak up to the door. We're gonna ring the doorbell. We're gonna run about 3 houses down, dive behind a house, and wait. And we'll be able to see him. We'll see him. They'll come out. They'll just look out. We'll just get to see the people who are living there. Never actually seen him. And I was like, no. And I was kind of hedging. And he was like, all right, well, I'm going to do it. And I was like, okay, you do it. I'm going to go hide in that tree. All right. There was a big pine tree right across the street from these people's house. Just like a huge pine tree. And so I go kind of.
Can I stop you for a minute? Do you mean hide in the tree or like in the tree? Like, were you climbing a tree?
I wasn't climbing a tree. I was not very athletic.
Okay. So you're just sort of, you're like Homer Simpsoning back into the tree, like.
Yeah, it was basically like if this is the branch of a tree, like, and there's a bunch of them. I was just kind of doing.
I could see that.
So
just your
I'm
eyes.
just like peeking out, like through. It's a pretty dense pine tree, and it's nighttime. So it's hard to see. Yeah. So I'm in this tree, just like holding on, like through the branches, watching. And Adam, he goes ahead and he sneaks up. I'll get this widescreen so you can see this. He sneaks up like Scooby-Doo style, where he's like walking up the driveway, right? And he's like tiptoeing, and he's going up, and he walks around. I'm sitting in a pine tree, and then he rings the doorbell, runs about 3 houses down, dives behind the house, and I sit there and wait. Okay? And so I'm going to paint the scene. There's just a suburban house, a couple trees in the front yard. There's kind of woods over to this side, and there's a flag sticking out of the side of the house. Okay, just like one of the I don't know, 3 feet long, sticking outside the house, has a flag on it. Right? So I'm sitting there, and I'm like hiding behind the tree, and I'm watching. And the light comes on. This man comes out of the house. This is the largest man I've ever seen.
Oh no!
He is bald. He's just got this big bald head. He has these biceps that just look like his big bald head on either side. Just a cannon of a man. He's just massive. It becomes very clear that this man is probably a Marine, Beaver Creek's military base. This dude's in the military somehow. It's very intense, very large man, right? He looks around, okay, for a second. And as soon as he realizes there's nobody at the door, he grabs the flagpole that's sticking out of the side of the house, pulls it out, and takes it and just starts stabbing into the bushes next to the house with the flagpole. So this man is wielding. It's got a flag on it, right? So this man is wielding what has become a spear, right? And he's just stabbing. And I am sitting there across the tree like, holy fuck, I'm going to die on the end of a flagpole, right? And so he stabs in, and he starts looking around, and then he just starts pacing around the yard, and he's got it up like it's a spear. The flag now is kind of like, it's got like branches stuck in it and stuff. but he's like walking around like this, looking, and he like goes up, he throws the flag on the ground. There's a tree in their front yard. He like grabs onto like one of the branches and he kind of pulls himself up into it to look to see if somebody's climbed the tree up there. And I'm like, oh no. And then he storms off, goes back inside, closes the door, and I start running. I am running as fast as I can down this street. And Adam comes running out from behind the house, and he's like, what's happened? What happened? And I'm like, go! We gotta get out of here, right? And so we run all the way up to our friend Trent's house. We get in the bushes, we hide, and we just wait for like an hour, and eventually go back. Okay? So we tell Trent this story, the guy we hid in the house of. And he's like, oh man, I want to see that. And so about a month later, we decide to do it. So same kind of roles, except this time it's me in the tree and the tree next to me, right?
Both
like
of you.
peeking out like this. Adam goes up. He does his Scooby-Doo walk, right? Tiptoeing up, rings the doorbell, runs about 3 houses down, dives behind the house, right? So Trent and I wait. About 11:30 at night again. Sitting in there. Light comes on. Same guy opens the door, walks outside, starts looking around. Trent and I are there. Then all of a sudden, the people who own the house, pine tree is there, pull into their driveway. And their headlights shine on. And they stop the car because there's 2 teenagers hanging out in their tree, right? So they park, and there's just blinding light, right? Directly on us. And Trent and I, like at the same time, go from looking at this guy all nervous, turn, look straight at the car. People start to get out. And I'm like, go, Trent, go, we gotta run. And so we start running. And as we start running, the man that's in the house, the giant, bald, massive man, points at me and Trent and makes almost an incomprehensible, inhuman, just like, noise, right? And so Trent and I are running. And we're running down the street, and Adam comes out and he's like, what happened? And then he looks and he sees the guy chasing us and he's like, oh no! And then we're all 3 running down the street. Right? And I look behind me and that guy is just coming after us like the Terminator. Like the goddamn Terminator, just, arms flying up. And so we run, we end up jumping a fence, getting back into Trent's bushes, laying low in the bushes. Hearts pounding, and we stayed there for about an hour. About 15 minutes after we get into the bush, we hear police sirens just going by, and we just sit and wait. And about 2 months after that, they moved away. So we never saw them again. But,
you were the reason they moved away.
Probably. we accidentally terrorized those people. I don't recommend this to anyone.
So that's amazing. So I'm confused about the people that pulled into the driveway, the owners of the house. That's different than the guy who was inside the house?
Yeah, so the pine tree was across the street. So if you just imagine a suburban street,
yeah,
there's a pine tree on one side, then there's the house.
Oh, so it's different owners. So
yeah.
Their lights gave you away. I see. Yeah. I thought for a moment my head went to this place where he was like another member of their home or something, and they were coming home to that same house. That's super
if
scary.
We were just surrounded, there's no way. I wouldn't be on this show right now. I would be still on a flagpole somewhere.
Somewhere out there, like maybe in a year, I'm going to book a guest, and he's going to say, there was a time when these kids kept ringing my doorbell, and that's going to be his story. That was an awesome story, man. Thank you so much for sharing. Would you like to do a trick?
Yeah, I'll do a trick. I've got something I was working on in Denver. It's actually, I had to go with Chris Merrick was requesting this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Are you going to do the thing? Chris Merrick commented that he didn't believe that what you're about to see is actually real. So he commented that you do it live. Now, I'm not sure if Chris is watching or not, but we do have some folks watching. and folks will watch this later as well. And I'll full screen you if you want. Do you want me to full screen you for this?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, awesome. Let's do it.
Cool. I'm going to try to prove that it's real. I'm not good at this part because I'm not a magician, so I never have to convince people that things are real.
Right.
They're just real. So
yeah, people just take your word that you actually worked hard. Oh,
yeah.
Chris is here. I don't know if you can see this, but Chris is excited. He says the Jenga trick. Fuck yes.
Oh yeah. Oh,
all right, man.
All right. Hell yeah, Chris. Thanks for coming.
So on demand, now the pressure is on, my friend.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a real Jenga set, what I'm going to show you. I've got it laid out here just so I can show them individually. I don't know if you can actually see. I will move the camera a little bit. If you can see right over here.
Yes.
Barely.
Actually, let me move. Let me get rid of this. There we go.
Jenga. What'd you say?
I got rid of my overlay so that we can actually see the bottom of the screen there.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So I've got these 3 squares of Jenga things. I messed up my lighting and everything by doing this. All right. So 3 squares of Jenga things. They're all separate Jenga pieces. They are real. They're just normal things. There's no magnets or anything. I will show you at the end, but it takes forever to set up a Jenga set from the beginning. So I'm not going to do it like that. What I'm going to try to do is balance a Jenga set on my face. I have this platform. This is made with Jenga blocks, which I threw together and stained. This is something I worked on for about 3 months while I was living in Denver. I had this idea, and it was one of those things. I'm sure this has happened to you, where I was like, I had this idea for a trick, and I was like, if I don't learn this right now, I am going to see someone else do it after they've thought in 6 months, and I am going to beat the shit out of myself because it's such a good trick, right?
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is just stack up the things in Jenga. I'm going to bounce it on my face. That being said, ever since I started posting it, now there are like 3 other people that have started trying.
Of course. That's the world.
You know how it works. But
that is the world we live in.
I've got that poor man's copyright of having been the first person to put it on the internet.
Yeah, it's on the internet. I saw it. I'll vouch for you.
All right. I'm going to try and do this on the first try. If it doesn't work, it's going to take forever to clean up, but we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, we'll hang out.
That's okay. Because when I was a kid, my mom always told me, Tony, you're going to fail at a lot of things. That was it. That was all she said. Okay. Oh.
Oh my God. Whoa.
All right. So there's no graceful way to end this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this down and I'm going to try to catch as many blocks as I can. And you're going to hear how well I do over the video. So give me in 3, 2, 1.
Oh my God, dude. That is so good. That is such a great trick. Unbelievable. Wow.
That pile of Jenga blocks proves to you, Chris, that it is real.
Not only that, but the one block almost came out with the second block was right there ready to come.
If I ever do rig that trick, I'm going to see if I can figure out how to rig it to do that, because that was awesome.
Yeah, that made me gasp. That was amazing, dude. Good work. That was well worth the getting the COVID to be home for 3 months to learn how to do it.
Thanks, man. I'm glad.
Do you want to go for the trifecta? Do you have a joke?
Yeah, I've got a joke. Let me see here. I pulled it up earlier. This is one of my favorite jokes. I'm going to say it's going to be the worst part of my segment, but I've got to go for the trifecta.
Okay.
All right. So I wrote it down earlier. This is an old one. You probably heard it. It goes, an Englishman, a Frenchman, and a Spaniard and a German are watching a juggler. Okay? The performer suddenly realizes that they don't have a very good view. And so he gets on a little platform and he goes, hey, can everybody see me all right? And they respond in turn, yes, we see God.
Oh my God. That's the trifecta, though. You have earned it. You somehow put it together.
The joke was last minute, but the rest are.
It's okay. You do deserve the trifecta screen, though.
I love it.
And in doing so, you will also earn your name in the credits of the show. So you're going to join just a few people who have done the trifecta. There was Dave Berkey, but Dave didn't do a trick. He just, on command, I made him cut his fingernails with a dog fingernail clipper. I don't know why he had them. I can't remember why he brought them into the screen. And I said, what are those? And since he didn't have a trick, we just decided that he would bow to peer pressure and cut part of his fingernail, I guess, which is now going to be like uneven for a few weeks. Carissa Hendricks came in and did the trifecta. So there are a few folks. I feel like I'm leaving some people out, but that was awesome, brother. It's been so great having you on the show. Before we go, we do have a special segment we like to call What the Shit Is This?
Good.
All right. So I was looking around. I know that you juggle fire. I saw a clip of you doing it on the news. And I looked around. I wanted to see, because magicians, we love to look at bad magic videos and magic fail videos. And there are also juggler fail videos. So I have an amazing juggler fail video to show you. What the shit is this?
All right, cool. You got a lighter? I don't have a lighter.
This guy is I don't know if we can hear him. Hang on a sec. Let's make sure we can hear this guy. Oh, there we go.
All right, brother. Ready?
Well, first of all, that was a dick move.
You're right.
And the guy called him a dick. So
That's why we're friends.
That is the worst way to soak
Doesn't
torches.
take much.
is it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just horrifying.
Hey, woo!
So you should soak them probably like in a can or something. That's how I've seen it, right?
Yeah, or you can make like a specialized tray. There's safer ways to do it, basically. But
So how's his form here?
There we go.
the juggling's pretty good. Good tricks, wide pattern.
And that's the fail. Now I'm gonna loop this because now that we're paying attention, we all want to see this again.
Lighter.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, there's really a lot going on here. That man in the red shirt is not wearing anything that you should ever wear. It looks like he's got some kind of weird polyester blend of shirt on. There are like very specific clothes you should wear when you're around fire, performing with fire.
I'm
Because
sure.
otherwise, they just catch on fire.
But to this guy's credit, he probably didn't know that his idiot friend was going to do this. I mean, I was trying to figure out where they are, and this is obviously in Florida because that's the only place I've ever seen patios like this, where they have mosquito nets all the way around it.
Sure. Yeah, so this actually happened to the guy that was in the podcast story. Adam's first ever performing partner. We were in a duo show called The Dropbacks.
Yeah.
And we practiced a long time learning how to catch clubs, like we'd be passing 6 clubs and then throw the last one, and then Adam would catch it between his legs. And so we did that with torches on a whim one time, just without any kind of warm-up or practicing. And he went to catch it, and let me see if I can get my crotch in the shot here. Went to catch it, and if you imagine...
I was going to ask if you would do that earlier, but I didn't know if it would be...
Yeah, no, that's my other camera setup that I usually use for that.
Yeah, that's your OnlyFans?
Yeah, that's my own. Subscribe now. If you imagine this is the part that's on fire, it went and it was supposed to be caught like that, and instead went all the way through.
Oh boy!
The flames went straight up, and Adam started like yipping. You know,
that seems like a super risky move to begin with. Even to do that correctly and not screw it up seems.
We were 7. I learned how to juggle fire when I was like 16, so I imagine we were 17 at the time. We were not very good at doing things safe.
Yeah, it seems like it would be like a pro wouldn't do this. So you said this is just the worst. Well, first of all, the guy's trying to catch the lighter fluid with his other hand, and then he wipes. Oh, did you see that? Oh, I can't go back to the beginning with the way this video is set up, so we're just going to have to loop it one more time. So what happens, the guy has one hand under the lighter fluid, And so as he pours the lighter fluid with his top hand, he's catching the excess fluid with his bottom hand. And when he's done, he immediately wipes it on his chest, and you can even see a dark spot on his chest. So right now there's no dark spot on the red guy's chest, right? So watch this. As soon as he fills up the okay, lighter. All right, caught it with his crotch. That should be the harbinger of how bad this is going to be. So look at him. He's got his bottom hand under there catching the excess fluid. And it obviously pools in there because he wipes it on his shirt right where it catches on fire.
Doesn't take much, does it?
And then when you see him again at the end, you can see the soaked the fuel mark on his shirt, and that's right where the guy slams him in the chest with a flaming torch.
God, that's so perfect.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Boom,
They're
right in the
using like Coleman's white gas for this. When you're learning how to juggle fire, do it with just like barbecue lighter fluid is a better place. Lower flash.
I think I've got some right here.
It's perfect.
So this right here is what we should use, right?
Let me see. Oh yeah, perfect.
So
oh yeah, chart.
Let's do it. I don't have any torches. What can we use in place of torches?
I don't know. You could take off your socks, ball them up, soak them.
Okay, I've got some drumsticks. We could put them on the end of drumsticks.
That'll be perfect.
I'm also in my basement, and that's not a way for me to continue this show. Okay, I do have another clip. This one's stranger, weirder. I remember when this went viral. Was probably a year ago now. This is obviously some sort of fair or festival. We have a performer. And, oh my gosh, it's stuck. It's stuck. I think this one was
Alright, my hula hoop is stuck.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna put it out.
Oh,
If
she couldn't
everybody
get it
can
off, so
help
we're
me
just
out.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! She yells. That is amazing.
It's attached. It's attached. He drags it.
Oh man, counting down from 5.
When I first saw this, I think I legitimately screamed
3.
when that happened. So it's so out of nowhere.
1.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
So now she's going for her big finale. And people even say uh-oh, and it's oh no. How did that happen?
Alright, my hula hoop is stuck. So we're just gonna put it out.
Smart play.
If
That's a
everybody
smart
can help
play
me
on
out.
her part.
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
That is not a smart play, and there was no way she could have.
No, it's okay.
It is. There's no. Oh my God! It's still on fire behind it. Unbelievable.
Oh, man.
So this.
Down from 5. 4.
And she continues. Well, I don't know what that countdown is that she's continuing at the end.
I have no idea. I can't even imagine the thought process going through your mind once that happens. It's like I've never been charged by anyone on any kind of motorized device while doing like the finale of my show.
Yeah,
but
right?
I don't think I'd be able to keep my performer composure.
She did. I think she shows real professionalism here. You know, this video doesn't make anyone look great, but what I'm guessing happened is that she probably like moved her stand after she set the hoops. You know, she like slid it over a little bit and it probably got tangled or whatever. And the smart call there is, yeah, I'm just going to put these out and not do that bit.
Yeah.
And this Mr. Beardo here, this guy comes in. I assume he's trying to save the day, but did he mean to run it over or did he just get stuck in first gear here?
I have no idea. What it looks like to me is he saw a bunch of stuff on fire and he was like, I'm going to extinguish this. Like, I'm going to help put it out. And then just ended up plowing into it. But, I mean, there's no, like, how... Or he was just really angry at this party and he was like, well, yeah, he's like stomping on it. As he's going away, he's like trying to stomp on the flame.
But listen, I mean, it's awesome that he was the one that stepped up to do that, but doesn't he think that maybe there are other people standing around who could have, like, he could have rolled up to the edge and said, hey, you, with like, you're standing, come and stand on these for us.
Right.
Instead
or just let the person that's trying to put out the fire put out the fire.
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people just panic when they see fire, and that's why this stuff is completely interesting. Mark Tertulio says, Mothman, attracted to the light. That's fantastic. Also, so that's really cool. We're gonna go back to our other view here. We have a couple comments that people have said. I'm gonna read them to you. Chris Merrick is super excited. He said this is the coolest thing. Christopher Morrow says, "Oh my God, Togna." It's gonna take me a while to get used to calling you Togna. Killer balance. And Magi Dead says, "Woo," with 3 W's and 6 O's. So
awesome.
Very, very cool. It's honestly, it's one of the cooler things I've seen in a long time. And you're right, people are going to steal it. So I'm going to tell everyone I can about it and tell them that you were the one to do it first. Tell everyone where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah, you can find me. My website is still TonyEntertains.com, but it'll be Togna something pretty soon. Aside from that, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/TognaThrow. You can also find me on Instagram. And then what you really need to do is check out the quiz box that I'll be helping with. That is on the 4th Friday of every month. So make sure you check that out. We've been going live on Instagram these past times.
And what is the Instagram for Quizbox?
I believe it's just at the Quizbox.
The Quizbox. It's got the
you can definitely
V,
find
the
the
THE.
Quizbox on Facebook, and then I'll have a link to the Instagram there.
Yeah, and I've watched Quizbox on Instagram before as well. It's a super funny show, very fun, always great guests, and it's awesome that you're a part of that. Can't wait to see what you do next. Everyone, please thank Togna Steinbach. Check him out on the interwebs, and thanks for coming on the show, man. You were awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. I'll see you later.
We'll see you soon. So we're at the end of the show. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you, everyone. I do want to do a couple quick plugs again. The only way that I'm able to do this show for you is through listener donations. There are a couple different ways that you can donate to the show. One of them is through, you can do a one-time donation if you just go to streamlabs.com/KentMagic. I think the thing on the screen was wrong earlier. I'll type it in the chat. Kent Magic. Another one is I'll put it on the show notes. Another one is Patreon, and Patreon is patreon.com/Michael Kent. That's as little as $1 a month, and it keeps the show going. And I'm trying to do my best to entertain you. Thanks all of these awesome people who have subscribed, followed, liked. If you are on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe. If you're just watching it there, click the thing, click the bell. That way you know when I go live and you get all the alerts. You guys, there it is. Streamlabs.com/Michael Kent is incorrect. That is not right. It's Kent Magic. So I'll fix that for next week. You know what? It's that time. I think that we should do a trick. That's the reason anyone here knows who I am in the first place, is magic. So I thought that I would do a close-up trick. I'm going to keep my hands in the frame the entire time, and I hope that you enjoy this. Thank you so much for watching the show tonight. I hope that you enjoyed it. See us next week. We've got Congressman Mark Pocan from Wisconsin. He will be on the show. He's a sitting congressman. He's going to join us next Tuesday. I hope to see you all there. Thanks again, everybody. And we'll see you next week. Goodbye. Hey friends, over the years, I've had hundreds of unofficial supporters. Now, you can make it official. Join my Patreon, 4 different levels, tons of exclusive benefits, access, behind the scenes, backstage video, access to shows that you normally wouldn't get to see, producer support, credits, shout outs, VIP events, everything you can think of. And you can join for as little as $1 a month. So thank you in advance for your support. I love all of you.